You did everything right, every single thing. You worked harder than the people around you who seemed satisfied. You built what you were supposed to build. You hit the milestones at roughly the right times. You are objectively ahead of where most people end up. And you feel nothing, not relieved, not proud in the way you expected. Nothing, or worse than nothing. A specific emptiness that sits in the center of everything. You built and refuses to explain itself. And the worst part is you cannot tell anyone. Because what would you even say? I achieved what I worked for and I feel hollow. The people around you would not understand that problem. They would tell you to be grateful. And you are grateful. That is not the issue. The issue is something underneath gratitude that gratitude cannot address. Something nobody told you was coming. Carl Jung warned about this, specifically, explicitly, in a way that the achievement culture of your entire life chose to ignore. And what he discovered about why high achievers feel empty is going to explain something about your interior life that you have been trying to understand since you crossed the last finish line and found nobody there. Stay. This is for you specifically. The emptiness has a name. Jung called it the inflation of the persona. Stay with me because this is the whole thing. The persona is the social self, the performed version of you built around what generates results in the world. For high achievers, the persona is often built around one specific identity, the one who produces, the one who performs, the one who reaches goals, the one who is defined by output. And the persona of the achiever is extraordinarily efficient. It knows how to generate forward momentum, how to convert work into results, how to maintain the specific discipline that produces the outcomes that other people admire. It is very good at its job. The problem is, it is not you. It is the engine. And you have been living inside the engine for so long that the question of who exists outside it has not been asked in years. Wait, because what I'm about to tell you explains why every new goal produces the same emptiness. Jung identified the difference between the ego, the achiever self, and what he called the self with a capital S. The totality of who you actually are, not the part that achieves, the whole person. And here is the specific problem with achievement culture that nobody teaches you. The ego can be satisfied temporarily by outcomes, but the self cannot be satisfied by anything external. The self requires something different. It requires being inhabited, not achieved into, inhabited, the specific experience of being fully present in your own life, of doing things that produce the feeling of aliveness, not because they generate results, but because they are genuinely, authentically, irreducibly yours. And most high achievers have been so focused on generating results that they have never stopped long enough to ask what produces that feeling. Not what produces the outcome, what produces the feeling of being genuinely alive inside your own existence. Because the answer to that question and the answer to what makes you maximally productive are often not the same answer. And the emptiness is the self communicating that gap every time you reach a goal. With the specific precision of someone who knows you crossed the wrong finish line again. Here is the part that hits hardest, and I need you to hear this completely. The emptiness is not ingratitude. It is not a sign that you are damaged or impossible to satisfy or constitutionally incapable of experiencing what you built. It is the most precise signal your interior life knows how to send. It is the self saying, "This was not what we came for. Not this specific goal. This whole direction. Not wrong in the sense of worthless. Wrong in the sense of insufficient. In the sense of not the complete story. In the sense of having been built around what was achievable rather than what was true." And the difference between those two things is the entire difference between a life that produces outcomes and a life that produces the feeling of having actually been lived. Jung documented this in person after person. The pattern was consistent. People who reached the top of structures they had spent decades building and found that the view from there did not contain what they had spent the climb expecting. Not because they failed, because the structure was built on the wrong foundation, on the ego's definition of success, rather than the self's definition of meaning. Hence, success and meaning are not the same thing. They can overlap, genuinely beautifully, in lives where the direction chosen is both achievable and true. But when they diverge, when the achievement is real and the meaning is absent, the emptiness arrives, not as punishment, as information, the most important information your interior life has ever delivered. That the next chapter needs a different foundation, not more achievement, more truth. The question Jung prescribed for high achievers who reach this point is not what should I build next? Verity's what have I been building around? Not the specific goals, the value beneath them. The reason this direction and not another. The answer to what this was supposed to produce that it has not produced. And most people who ask that question honestly find that the answer they arrive at has very little to do with the structure they built and everything to do with something they set aside when the building began. Something quieter, less measurable, harder to justify in a 5-year plan, but that produces the specific feeling of being alive in your own life that no achievement has yet delivered. That something is still available. The emptiness is not the end of the story. It is the specific invitation to start, writing the chapter that was supposed to come after all the achieving, the one about what the achieving was actually for. Jung called it the second half, and he said it requires everything the first half avoided. Not more production, more truth, not more achievement, more presence, not more results, more you. The actual you. The one the persona was built to present, that is ready now to finally be inhabited rather than performed. If the emptiness you have been carrying finally has a name, keep it. It is not ingratitude. It is direction. The most specific direction your interior life has ever given you. Share this with the high achiever in your life who has everything and seems somehow incomplete. They need to hear that the emptiness is not what happens when you fail. It is what happens when you succeed. At the wrong thing long enough for the right thing to demand your attention. Subscribe, because what comes next is specifically about what the right thing actually is and how you find it without dismantling everything you built to get here.